ਲੇਟੈਸਟ ਨਿਊਜ਼ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਫੋਨ ਤੇ ਦੇਖਣ ਲਈ ਸਾਡਾ ਚੈਨਲ ਸਬਸਕ੍ਰਾਈਬ ਕਰੋ ਅਤੇ ਨੋਟੀਫਿਕੇਸ਼ਨ ਦੇ ਲਈ ਬੈਲ ਆਈਕਨ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਦਬਾਓ। ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ ਜੀ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੇਖ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ ਹਮਦਰਦ ਟੀਵੀ ਤੇ ਮੈਂ ਹਾਂ ਤਰਨਜੀਤ ਕੌਰ ਘੁੰਮਣ। ਸੋ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਹਾਜ਼ਰ ਹਾਂ ਜੀ ਅੱਜ ਐਸ ਵੀ ਆਲ ਨੋ ਕਿ ਓਨਟਾਰੀਓ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਮਿਊਨਿਸਪਲ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨਸ ਹੋਣ ਲੱਗੇ ਨੇ। ਜਿਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਬ੍ਰੈਂਪਟਨ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਕੀਤੀ ਜਾਵੇ ਤਾਂ ਵਨ ਆਫ ਦਾ ਲਾਰਜੈਸਟ ਸਿਟੀ ਆਫ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ। ਸੋ ਅੱਜ ਇਹਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ, ਇਸ਼ੂਜ਼ ਅਸੀਂ ਡਿਸਕਸ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ ਤੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਇਸ ਵਕਤ ਸਟੂਡੀਓ ਵਿੱਚ ਮੌਜੂਦ ਨੇ। ਸੋ ਵੀ ਹੈਵ ਇਨ ਆਵਰ ਸਟੂਡੀਓ ਮੇਅਰ ਆਫ ਬ੍ਰੈਂਪਟਨ ਮਿਸਟਰ ਪੈਟਰਿਕ ਬਰਾਊਨ। ਵੈਲਕਮ ਟੂ ਹਮਦਰਦ ਟੀਵੀ।
Always great to be on Humdard TV. Great to be back in studio.
So, Mayor, first of all, how were your 4 years as a Brampton mayor?
Listen, I think we've had a very impressive level of accomplishment in the last 4 years. The big goals we set out, we've been able to say promises made, promises kept. You know, we promised that we'd fight for a new hospital, and we did. We fought for a new hospital. Now we have one being constructed, $1 billion project in the downtown. We've got a med school coming to the city. We've added 84 transit buses, major investments in cricket and field hockey, new recreation centers. We've added 180 police officers, a new regional police division coming to Brampton, CCTV cameras. And on top of that, we've had massive economic development with MDA, Boston Scientific, Electra, you know, the list goes on for major expansions in our city. So yeah, I'm excited about the work we've done. We've got a lot more work to do, but I think we're finally seeing Brampton get its fair share. It used to be Brampton was ignored when it came to funding, and now no one's ignoring Brampton. We're standing up for ourselves. We're pushing for Brampton's best interest, and I'm going to continue to do so with vigor.
When we talk about the Brampton's fair share, 4 years earlier when you got elected as a mayor, we were talking about the fair share for Brampton. But if we have a look, we still have one hospital and still not full-fledged. And what are your commitments with the provincial and the federal government to get the fair share for Brampton?
So 3 years ago, we actually declared a public emergency, and normally you don't declare a public emergency unless it's for an extreme event like a train derailment or a tornado. And we declared an emergency to really draw attention to the crisis in Brampton for healthcare, the hallway medicine crisis. And it worked. At Queen's Park, it became the topic of the day. Our declaration sparked a conversation. And we pushed, we lobbied, we ran a Fair Share for Brampton campaign. And in last year's provincial budget, they included the new hospital. Finally, it should have happened 20 years ago. I'm pleased to report the tender for the construction of the hospital has been issued, and it's on the Infrastructure Ontario website. And the construction will be starting this year. So that it's a $1 billion tender. $1 billion. This is the largest healthcare investment in Brampton history. And so, listen, I wish this happened 20 years ago, but finally we got results. Finally, we got this tender issued. That was my goal, and it's going to take about 5 years to construct the hospital, but now we're going to have a brand new hospital, finally a second hospital for Brampton.
Except healthcare, Brampton is always called a sleeping city. Bramptonians are going outside the city for the jobs. So what you will do to create more jobs for the Bramptonians in the coming 4 years?
So I made a commitment that if we cut red tape, if we froze taxes, we could be more successful in recruiting jobs. And we've seen the dividends of that. We're the only big city in the country that froze taxes. We cut red tape. We even hired an economic expediter, someone to work with businesses and walk them through the permitting process to investing in Brampton. And we've got a lot of success stories. You look at MDA, is now doing their aerospace expansion in Brampton. 800 rocket science jobs. All the robotics on the International Space Station will be done in Brampton. So, you know, in the movies they used to say, "Hello, Houston." Now they're going to have to say, "Hello, Brampton." So this is one of the biggest economic development wins the city's ever had. You look at Stellantis, which is the owner of the Chrysler plant. You know, we could have lost that plant, but we worked with the federal and provincial governments. We got them a deal with senior levels of government to turn our auto plant into an electric production facility. Now we're going to have that auto plant here for decades to come because we adapted. I look at Boston Scientific, one of the larger medical technology companies. Their new Canadian headquarters in Brampton. And so we've had wins, a lot of wins. And we're starting to reverse the cycle. It used to be for good paying jobs you had to go to Toronto, and now it's going to be, if you want good cybersecurity jobs, you come to Brampton. If you want good rocket science jobs, you come to Brampton. You want good medical technology jobs, you're going to have to drive from Toronto and Mississauga to Brampton. And so I love the fact that we're switching the curve, and these are wins that I think as a city we can be proud of.
Let's talk about some more serious issues that Bramptonians have. The first of all is the law and order. So every day we are just having the news of stabbings, we have having the news of shooting, murders, and car theft is so common these days. So how are you going to make it sure that Brampton, which is becoming the crime capital these days, will be the safest city in the coming 4 years?
So we've seen crime complications across the GTA. And I take this quite seriously. It's why we've added 180 new police officers to the Peel Police. It's why I pushed to get a new police division, gun and gang funding, CCTV cameras. But let me say, this is a debate, and this is where there's a difference of opinion. I've had some of my political critics, my opponents, talk about things like defund the police or freeze the police budget. And I push back at them. They're out to lunch. Anyone who says you can defund the police, they're out to lunch. Right now, we don't even have enough officers to respond to the 911 calls that we have. I want to give the chief the resources to do his job. I want to give the chief the tools to respond. And right now, when he's saying he needs more police officers, well, I'm going to be his fighter at the region appeal table to push for that. And please, when people are talking to councillors at the door, ask them if they support Mayor Brown and Chief Nish on the need to get 250 more officers to Peel Region. And for these people who are criticizing the police, for these people saying defund the police, that means if they get their way, that means there's 911 calls that we can't respond to. And so I'm going to continue to make public safety a priority, and I continue to be proud to support the Peel Police.
So you are talking about 911. In fact, people have some problem also, like people are calling 911 and they have to wait for 15 to 20 minutes to go through. And whenever they call regarding the burglary or maybe regarding the accidents, so they just got the answer from the police that they are busy right now, so they are unable to make it over there. So how are you going to make it sure? How are you going to resolve this problem?
Exactly, and this is my point. It's why we need more police officers, both uniformed and civilian. We probably need 30 more civilian staff with 911 operations. And so for my opponents who are saying that we don't need new police resources, they don't know what they're talking about. And some of these councillors who argue with me about the need to increase the police budget, they don't know what they're talking about. I've had many conversations with the senior leadership of the Peel Police, and I know they don't have enough officers to respond to the calls that come in. And there are wait times on 911. That's unacceptable. So I'm going to continue to push to get them the manpower, to get them the human resources that they need to keep our community safe.
So you are talking about human resources. What about the accommodation? Because if we have a look, like right now, the Brampton is one of the largest city of Canada and the first choice of immigrants too. International students are coming here, but they are not getting proper accommodation. So what will you do? Because this thing is putting the burden on the city, on the services, on the hospitals, on everything. So what about the accommodation?
So, as you know, immigration is run by the Government of Canada. So the levels of immigration, international students, that is not run by the city. But I will say we have pushed our academic institutions, and will continue to push them, that we want them to build student housing, that we don't want to see them bring record numbers of international students into the city without a plan for how they're going to house them. And so I spoke at an international student conference that Sheridan hosted earlier this year, and I'm going to continue to work with our academic partners to push them to build student housing, because I know this is a cash cow for the universities and the colleges, but they have a responsibility to build housing as well.
The other cities like London and Nova Scotia municipals, they are talking to the colleges directly regarding the affordable housing for the international students. So are you talking in the talking terms with the colleges in Brampton like Sheridan and other colleges?
Yeah, there's an active task force with all the colleges. So the same setup and the same conversations that happen elsewhere happen here, probably more actively here, just because we have more international students. And it's why I'm going to continue to push the need to build proper student housing. I would say Algoma recently came forward with a proposal where they've encouraged some building of student housing. That's a good start, but I want to see more of it.
Illegal basements and overcrowded houses, that are also a major problem of Bramptonians these days. So what is the city doing on this?
So the city's not allowed to go inside a unit. We don't have that legal power.
Because I remember during the pandemic, Brampton was also a hotspot of coronavirus because of that.
Well, not because of that. I think that's an unfair disparagement of Brampton. I think one of the reasons we had a higher positivity rate for COVID-19 wasn't because we had a lot of international students. The data doesn't support that. We had a higher COVID-19 rate because we have one of the largest percentages of essential workers in the country. So when most people were working from home, a lot of our population in Brampton was working in logistics, transportation, food processing. We kept Canada's supply chain intact. You know, we're the ones that allowed grocery stores to be stocked, medical supplies to come into the country. When everyone was scared at the beginning of the pandemic, we kept Canada's, you know, highways and supply chain functioning. And so if anything, I think Brampton deserves thanks. We may have had a higher COVID rate. We took, you know, we took some serious sacrifice to our community, our health, our wellness for the good of Canada. In terms of second suites, you know, we've asked the province for tools to enforce and close illegal second suites. We don't have the power to go into a basement apartment and close it down. That's the province doesn't give cities that type of power of searching a premise. What we can enforce is we have the legal power to enforce if garbage is not being built up, grass cutting, driveways, cars parked on the streets, and our bylaw department is very diligent at trying to deal with the plethora of complaints we get because of these second suites. And so we're going to continue to push to try to deal with these illegal units. In the last 4 years, we have legalized 15,000 units. So we estimated we have about 30,000 illegal units. Now we have 15,000 legal ones. So we've made a progress in convincing people, enticing people to take their illegal unit and to make it a legal unit.
So what are your thoughts regarding the Bill C? Premier said that he is ready to give more powers to the mayor of Brampton. So are you supporting this Bill C concept?
So he is proposed to give big city mayors additional powers, and I think that's appropriate.
Recently he has talked about Brampton too.
Yeah. And I think it's appropriate. I think we need it's important to have the tools to work on big projects. And right now, I get elected by the whole city, 750,000 people. But my vote is the same as someone who might get elected by 50,000 people. And so I get he's been at the municipal level. He served in the city of Toronto. And so I think he appreciates that sometimes you have gridlock at a council where a council can be divided. There could be a big project for the city that you can't push forward because of that gridlock. And so I like the fact that he's proposing to give additional tools to big city mayors to help achieve ambitious agendas.
Traffic is one of the huge issue right now. So what are your thoughts, and are you in the favor of Highway 413?
So I support Highway 413. We need to have that transportation corridor for our community. I want to move people. And I additionally want to continue to finish our goals on the rapid bus transit on Queen. I want to see the LRT extended. I also want to make our transit fleet more green, more clean, more environmentally efficient. So we're electrifying all our transit buses. So we continue to have an ambitious plan when it comes to public transit. In Brampton, I want us to have a modern public transit system.
So when we talk about the transit right now, the Brampton buses are full and overcrowded. In fact, they have less drivers right now, and the service is not that much frequent these days. So how are you going to make it sure that Brampton transit will go according to the population?
So in my time, we've added 84 new buses, 84 new operators, and we're going to continue to add more operators to allow us to serve the growing population. We have one of the fastest growing transit systems in the country.
And one thing more, street parking is becoming one of the major issue. In fact, the newly built neighborhoods, they are not having the proper space for parking. So this is one of the major issue, like street parking. So how city gonna resolve this problem?
So I hear complaints that there's people parking on the street, and call 311, complain to bylaw. They will call and they will ticket that car. But the city does not have a patrol car going around the city looking for people parking on the street. You have to actually complain. And so call 311 if you see a car. And I'd also say to people watching at home, please don't park on the streets, particularly in the winter. In the winter, we can't do our snow removal if you leave your car on the street. And so we need people to be responsible. And there's a reason that we have the rules we do, and people should abide by them.
So why cities approving that kind of proposals that are not having actual proper car parking areas?
So it's based on what the area warrants. So if someone if someone wants to have a larger driveway, they can purchase a larger driveway from the builder. But these are the houses that people are purchasing. And I'd say quite often the parking issue arises from second suites. And so you'll have someone who has an illegal second unit. And because they have an illegal second unit, they have put cars on the streets. And so this is one of the ways that we're able to stop illegal second suites, because those cars keep on getting tickets. And so, my advice to people that have illegal second units, come to the city, work with us, and we will make sure you have a legal unit. If you want additional parking, you can go to the Committee of Adjustments. But these hidden illegal units that crowd our streets, you'll get caught and you'll get tickets. And that's why it's important to let us know if someone has a basement with 10 people in it and cars all over the street. Let us know. We'll ticket those cars and make sure that this is not a hidden secret in your neighborhood.
It's time for some allegations now. Some of city councillors and some of the mayor candidates have put some allegations on you regarding the misuse of taxpayers' money. So how are you going to defend yourself for this statement?
So I'm proud to say we froze taxes. We've been very frugal. I realize this is election season and people will make allegations. But my advice to the people running for mayor, rather than throw a tax and smear, just tell the city what you're going to do, right? Say what you aspire to do for Brampton, because I just don't think that's not how we are in Brampton. I don't think it's how we are in Canada. They may do mudslinging elsewhere, but that's certainly not what we do in Canada. And I'd add to that, there was an instance where one of the candidates running for mayor made an allegation that there was wrongdoing at City Hall, and so the City Council hired Deloitte. They investigated it. Very costly investigation, $500,000. And the Deloitte report said that she lied. She got caught lying. Her allegations were proven to be false. And what council passed a few weeks ago, we've actually passed a resolution saying that people that make false allegations, where it's proven that they categorically lied, like we had in Brampton, that we should have a provision where they have to pay the costs of false allegations. In this case, the person who made the allegations is now being sued by the people that were mentioned, and so that's going to be a legal process in itself. But I would say, rather than mudslinging, what would I love to see in this municipal election is for people to say, what are their projects? What are their ideas? How can we make Brampton better? Where I've talked about the aerospace investments and the new cricket fields and the field hockey dome and the new police division. Tell me, what are the ideas we're missing? Tell me ways that we can make Brampton better. My political mentor was Bill Davis, and he used to listen to different ideas. His political opponents, he'd say, do they have good ideas that we can incorporate together? And so during an election, I hope that's what I'm going to hear. I don't want to hear mudslinging. I want to hear good ideas how to make Brampton even better.
In fact, the candidates are also saying that we all know that Brampton City Council is divided in two parts right now. So if the City Council is not that much capable to solve their inner issues, then how are they going to solve the issues of the Brampton?
So listen, there are some councillors that are not running again, who obviously I have a difference of opinion on. You know, I struggle to get them to come to work. You know, sometimes people are checked out, but then I announce that if they didn't come to work, they missed 5 meetings in a row, that they would lose their paycheck. And surprise, surprise, they all came back.
Okay.
But it shouldn't take me threatening their paychecks for them to come to work. I'm looking forward to having a council that's ready to roll up their sleeves and work hard for Brampton.
So when you talk about work hard for Bramptons, what are your planning for the coming 4 years for Brampton?
I'd like to see more police officers. I want to see our regional police station built. I would like to see continued emphasis on economic development. I want to see the hospital construction project completed. I want to see our med school opened in 2025. I want to continue to see the focus on the innovation district. I want to continue to see investments in a diversity of recreation, field hockey, cricket, soccer. We're going to build a new community center at Embleton. I'm opening the new Riverstone Community Center. I want to continue to make sure that we push back against those that want to raise taxes. I want to make Brampton a great city to live, a great city to work, a great city to raise a family.
And what about the education? The city of Brampton is not getting right now, hasn't fulfilled the dream of the own university. Brampton is not having its own university, though we have so many students here.
So as you know, I pushed hard to get a university. And I lobbied the province. When the Premier called me and said, I know you keep on pushing this university, I can't give you a university yet, but how is a med school sound? And I said, I'll take the med school, but I'm going to still keep on pushing for a university. This current council voted 6-5 to stop pushing for a university. I voted that we should continue to fight for one. I hope the new council that's elected will share my opinion that we need a university. We need a Brampton University. You know, if young people in Waterloo or Kingston can have their own university, why can't we in Brampton? And I know for some people, they say it's not a priority for them, but I disagree. I want to continue to fight for a university. I want to give credit to Councillor Rowena Santos and Councillor Harkirat Singh, because they were so determined, so hardworking on fighting to get Brampton University, and I'm grateful for their leadership.
I still remember in an interview you said that you got a call from New York regarding your athletes, that what is in the water of Brampton.
Yes.
Here you're getting so many athletes over here,
Yes.
you're getting so many sports person over here. So I think sports is also in your agenda, in your
Yeah,
proposals?
I think if you invest in recreation, it creates a healthy, active lifestyle. I think it's great for a community. You want to encourage healthy, active lifestyles. And so I'm going to continue to invest record amounts in recreation. If you have a healthy population, that, you know, it helps diminishing the reliance on the hospital. It's preventative health care. So yes, I'm a big believer in recreation.
So my interview is over. Any message you want to give to the Bramptonians who are watching you right now, as the elections are on 24th of October?
Well, advanced polling starts in early October. Come out and vote and help me keep the momentum going for the city of Brampton.
ਲੇਟੈਸਟ ਨਿਊਜ਼ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਫੋਨ ਤੇ ਦੇਖਣ ਲਈ ਸਾਡਾ ਚੈਨਲ ਸਬਸਕ੍ਰਾਈਬ ਕਰੋ ਅਤੇ ਨੋਟੀਫਿਕੇਸ਼ਨ ਦੇ ਲਈ ਬੈਲ ਆਈਕਨ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਦਬਾਓ।